September, Fat City Blues. Fear and Loathing on the White House press play. Bad angst at McGovern headquarters. Nixon tightens the screws, and many appear to be in the terminal stages of campaign bloat. Hear me, people, we have to now deal with another race. Small and feeble when our fathers first met them, but now great and overbearing. Strangely enough, they have a mind to till the soil, and the love of possession is a disease with them. These people have made many rules that the rich may break, but the poor may not. They'd take their tithes from the poor and weak to support the rich and those who rule. Chief Sitting Bull, speaking at the Powder River Conference in 1877. If George McGovern had a speechwriter half as eloquent as Sitting Bull, he would be home free today, instead of 22 points behind and racing around the country with both feet in his mouth. The Powder River Conference ended 95 years ago, but the old chief's baleful analysis of the white man's rape of the American continent was just as accurate then as it would be today if he came back from the dead and set it for the microphones on primetime TV. The ugly fallout from the American dream has been coming down on us at a pretty consistent rate since Sitting Bull's time. And the only real difference now, with Election Day 72 only a few weeks away, is that we seem to be on the verge of ratifying the fallout and forgetting the dream itself. Sitting Bull made no distinction between Democrats and Republicans, which was probably just as well in 1877 or any other year. But it's true that Sitting Bull never knew the degradation of traveling on Richard Nixon's press plane. He never knew the bilious pleasure of dealing with Ron Ziegler, and he never met John Mitchell, Nixon's king fixer. If the old Sioux chief had ever done these things, I think, despite his angry contempt for the white man and everything he stands for, he'd be working overtime for George McGovern today. These past 2 weeks have been relatively calm ones for me. Immediately after the Republican convention in Miami, I dragged myself back to the Rockies and tried to forget about politics for a while. Just lie naked on the porch in the cool afternoon sun and watch the aspen trees turning gold on the hills around my house. Mix up a huge canister of gin and grapefruit juice. Watch the horses nuzzling each other on the pasture across the road. Big logs in the fireplace at night. Herbie Mann, John Prine, and Jesse Colin Young booming out of the speakers. Zip off every once in a while for a fast run into town along a back road above the river. To the Health Center gym for some volleyball. Then over to Benson's gallery to get caught up in whatever treacheries the local breed heads rammed through while I was gone. Watch the late TV news and curse McGovern for poking another hole in his own boat. And then stop by Jerome on the way out of town for a midnight beer with Solheim. Solheim.
After 2 weeks on that peaceful human schedule, the last thing I wanted to think about was the grim, inescapable specter of 2 more frenzied months on the campaign trail. Especially when it meant coming back here to Washington to start laying the groundwork for a long and painful autopsy job on the McGovern campaign. What went wrong? Why had it failed? Who was to blame? And finally, what next? That was one's project. The other was to somehow pass through the fine eye of the White House security camel and go out on the campaign trail with Richard Nixon. To watch him waltz in, if only to get the drift of his thinking, to watch the moves, his eyes. It is a nervous thing to consider. Not just 4 more years of Nixon, but Nixon's last 4 years in politics, completely unshackled for the first time in his life, from any need to worry about who might or might not vote for him the next time around. If he wins in November, he will finally be free to do whatever he wants. Maybe wants is too strong a word for right now. He conjures up images of Papa Doc, Batista, Somoza, jails full of bewildered political prisoners, and the constant cold sweat fear of jackboots suddenly kicking your door off its hinges at 4 a.m. There is no point in kidding ourselves about what Richard Nixon really wants for America. When he stands at his White House window and looks out at an anti-war demonstration, he doesn't see dissenters, he sees criminals, dangerous parasites, preparing to strike at the heart of the great American system that put him where he is today.
Thompson.
You just do that part right there.
Yeah. There may not be much difference between Democrats and Republicans. I've made that argument myself, with considerable venom, I recall, over the past 10 months. But only a blind geek or a waterhead could miss the difference between McGovern and Richard Nixon. Granted, they are both white men, and both are politicians. But the similarity ends right there, and from that point on the difference is so vast that anybody who can't see it deserves to whatever happens to them. If Nixon gets reelected due to apathy, stupidity, and laziness on the part of potential McGovern voters. That's it. That's Thompson. Oh, yeah. Thompson, McGovern.
Fighting for freedom in America.
Freedom.
Freak Party.
Richard Nixon represents the dark side of the American spirit.
Yeah, censorship, fascism.
Darkness.
Think for yourself.
Anti-freedom.
DIY.
Thompson. Gonzo, come on out.
To Thompson.
Read.
Join us.
Join us at the Gonzo Society.
Beautiful Venice Beach.
California.
Aspen West.
Aspen West.